Hello mga master! Sa video na ito, ating tatalakayin ang ilan sa laws of limits na kailangan nating matutunan bago tayo mag-proceed sa lesson na derivatives. Later kasi, i-define natin si derivative as a limit. So, kailangan alam natin itong mga laws na ito para magamit natin sila sa pagkuha ng derivatives. Handa na ba kayong matuto? Let's go! Number 1 is limit of a constant. At sinasabi ng limit of a constant na ang limit daw ng constant ay yung sarili niya. Let's say, the limit of this constant k for whatever value man ni c dito, ang ating sagot is still k, the number. Kung i-illustrate natin yon, say we have the limit of 5 as x approaches 2. The answer here is 5. Kung titignan kasi natin ang graph ng isang constant function, ang graph niya kasi is a horizontal line. So you can see here, f of x is 5. It is always equal to 5. Kaya, kung ano man yung value ng x natin, palaging ang value ng function is 5 at hindi magbabago. Kaya nga ang tawag natin, constant. So, as x approaches 2, so we have here 2. Kung manggagaling man tayo sa left, papunta dito sa point kung saan ang x ay 2, ang pupuntahan natin na value ng function is 5. Kung manggagaling naman tayo sa right, kung galing ng left, the answer is 5. Kung manggagaling naman tayo sa right, the answer is also 5. Iisa ang pinupuntahan natin. At palaging 5. What if we replace 2 with another value, say 0, or negative 2, or 10? Still, ang limit nung ating function f of x equals 5 is still 5 because it is a constant. Number 2, the limit of an identity, or ito yung tinatawag nating the limit of x. So, sinasabi ng law na ito na ang limit daw ng x as x approaches any value c is equal to the value na ina-approach ni x, which is c. So, ganito naman ang itsura ng identity function. Ang kanyang graph ay isang line at palagi or any point dito sa line na ito, ang coordinates natin ay pareho. Halimbawa, we select this point. Kung ano man yung kanyang x, yun din ang value ng ating f of x. Meaning, if this is 0, if x is 0, then its y is also 0. Now, ano kaya ang limit ng x as x approaches 3? Na kung i-approach natin si 3 from the left and from the right, isa lang ang pupuntahan natin na point. This point. And ang coordinates ng point na yan ay 3, 3. Dahil kung ang x niya ay 3, then ang kanyang y is also 3. Because sabi sa atin, yung f of x is palaging equal sa x. Or anumang point dito sa graph na to, pareho yung x dun sa y. Meaning, our limit here is also 3. Number 3 is the limit of a constant multiple. At sinasabi ng law na ito na yung limit daw ng product ng isang constant tsaka ng isang function ay equal dun sa product nung constant tsaka yung limit ng function as x approaches c. Provided na yung limit ng function as x approaches c, nag-i-exist yon. As our illustration, we have here the limit of 3 times x as x approaches 2. Equal daw yan sa 3 times the limit of x as x approaches 2. Number 4, the limit of a sum or difference. At sinasabi ng law na ito na ang limit daw ng sum ng dalawang functions or ng difference nilang dalawa ay equal daw sa sum or difference ng kanilang individual limits, provided that both limits exist. So, parang ganito yan. Say we have the limit of the sum of x and 2. Equal lang daw yan sa limit ng x plus limit ng 2. At lahat yan ay when x approaches 5. Number 5, the limit of a product. Sinasabi naman nito na ang limit daw ng product ng dalawang functions as x approaches c ay equal daw sa product ng individual limits, provided again that the limits both exist. So, let's say we have the limit of the product of the quantity x plus 2 and 3x as x approaches 7. Equal daw yan sa product ng limit ni x plus 2 as x approaches 7 and limit ni 3x as x approaches 7. Number 6, the limit of a quotient. At sinasabi nito na ang limit daw ng quotient ng dalawang functions as x approaches c ay equal daw sa quotient ng kanilang individual limits, provided again that both limits exist and that yung value ng limit of g of x should not be equal to 0 because nasa denominator c limit of g of x. At kapag yan ay nag-0, magiging undefined yung value natin. As our illustration, we have here the limit of the quotient between 3x plus 2 and x minus 1 as x approaches 0. So, para lang nating paghihiwalayin yung dalawa, magkakaroon tayo ng limit sa numerator and limit sa denominator. Number 7, the limit of a power. Ang sinasabi naman nito, ang limit daw ng function na nire-raise sa power n as x approaches c ay equal daw sa kunin mo na yung limit ng function as x approaches c, saka erase yung sagot sa power na n. Provided that the limit of f of x as x approaches c exists. As an illustration, we have here the limit of the quantity 2x plus 3 na nire-raise natin sa power of 4. Limit as x approaches 9. Equal daw yan sa kunin natin yung limit ng 2x plus 3 as x approaches 9, tsaka natin erase yung sagot sa power na 4. Number 8, limit of a radical root. Ang sinasabi naman nito, ang limit daw ng nth root of a function ay equal lang daw sa nth root nung limit nung function as x approaches c, provided that this limit is a real number. So, as an illustration, we have here the limit of the cube root of this quantity 3x plus 2 as x approaches 6 ay equal daw sa cube root nung limit nung quantity 3x plus 2 as x approaches 6. Now, na na-introduce na sa atin yung iba't ibang limit laws, pwede na natin silang gamitin to evaluate some limits. Kasi kung gagawa pa tayo ng table of values dito, or kung i-graph pa natin itong function, it will already take time. So, ngayon na alam natin yung limit laws, gagamitin na natin sila. So, for number 1, we have here the limit of the given quantity as x approaches 2. So, the first limit na i-apply natin is the sum. So, by applying the limit of a sum, para nating paghihiwa-hiwalayin yung expression, magkakaroon sila ng kanya-kanyang limit. The next thing that we will do is may mga nakikita tayong constant multiples or mga nakamultiply na constant. Ang gagawin natin sa mga yan ay ilalabas natin sila. And ang ina-apply natin na limit law doon ay limit ng constant multiple. So, si 2 ay lalabas as a factor, and then si 3 lalabas din and it will also become a factor or a multiplier. Now, may nakikita tayong expression na ni-raise sa isang power, and that is x squared. So, sabi sa atin, pwede natin tong ilabas at tatanggapin yung power ng buong expression limit of x. Now, pwede na natin i-evaluate yung limit of x as x approaches 2. At ang i-apply natin doon ay yung limit of an identity or yung limit of x. And the limit of x is kung ano yung ina-approach na value ni x. So this will become 2 times 2 squared. While here, the limit of x is equal to, again, applying the limit of an identity, this is equal to 2. While for the limit of 1, as x approaches 2, i-apply naman natin yung limit of a constant. So the limit, so the value of this is equal to the constant. Finally, pwede na natin itong i-simplify. And what we will get is equal to 8 minus 6, that is 2, plus 1, what we have is 3. So, the value of this expression is 3. Para sa ating pangalawang item, meron tayo ditong limit ng quotient ng dalawang expressions. So, applying limit of quotient, pinaghiwalay natin yung dalawa. So, we have here a quotient of individual limits. And then, dito naman, pinaghiwalay natin itong limit ng product of two functions. Ginawa natin siyang product ng kanilang individual limits. So, here, we apply the limit of a product. While dito naman, nilabas natin yung constant multiple, mga nakikita nating constant multiple, and pinaghiwalay na rin natin yung dalawang functions. So, the limit of sum, ginawa na natin sum of limits. Kaya, in-apply natin dito yung limit of sum. Sinabay na natin yung limit of a constant multiple. And then lastly, here, pinalitan na natin, or lastly, here, in-evaluate na natin yung mga expressions gamit yung limit ng isang constant at limit ng isang identity. So here, ang limit ng x as x approaches 3 is 3. Siyempre nakamultiply si 3. While here, ang limit ng constant na 1 as x approaches 3 is 1. Here, this is a limit of an identity, limit of a constant, limit of an identity. So this is 3. Tapos, we raise it to the power of 2. Lastly, our final answer is 10 over 9. Maybe, ang ilan sa inyo ay napapaisip na, Sir, parang pinapahirapan lang natin mga sarili natin. What if mag-direct substitution na lang kaya tayo? Pag ginawa natin yun, ang makukuha pa rin naman natin is 10 over 9. Yun nga lang, ang purpose nung ginawa natin earlier ay para maipakita natin na sa kabila ng direct substitution, ang ginagamit or ina-apply talaga natin are the limit laws. And sa susunod na video, pag-uusapan naman natin ang direct substitution as a technique sa pag-evaluate ng limits. So, maraming salamat sa panonood and sana ay marami kayong natutunan.